Hi and welcome to this post-social news bulletin, presented by Oliver Thomas Wilcox. This week we continue our topic of professional females within sport. This week I talked with three people for our podcast, including Shannon Heiner, Catherine Forshaw and Neve Coyle. This week we also bring you a blog update summarising and going into more depth about Shannon Heiner's work and interests within football. In our first podcast we bring you this week, I talk with Shannon Heiner, a football development officer at London Football Association. During the podcast we talk about her inclusion within sport since a young age, as well as hearing about the work she has previously and currently done in and around the world of football. In our second podcast of the week, I talk with Catherine Forshaw, a solicitor at Brabner's and founder of the Women's Football Education. During the podcast, we discuss our current roles at Brabner's and the women's football education, and also what the women's football education does to help support female footballers. Finally, in our last podcast we bring you this week, I talk to Neve Coyle, Football Development Officer with the London Football Association. In this podcast, we discuss our role with the London Football Association, as well as other roles within football, such as West Ham United FC and Arsenal FC roles. This week's blog update includes the summary of the Shannon Heiner podcast, as we mention her previous experiences in football, career-wise and as a passion. In other news, keeping with this week's topic, the Premier League are set to invest over £5 million over the next 3 years in a network of new FA Girls football talent centres. There are currently 29 regional talent centres, and this figure is set to rise up to 70 more centres across the country. The FA Head of Women's Technical, Kay Crosington, said, "We've undertaken a lengthy and comprehensive review of the current pathway structure, and this has provided a clear future direction, based around 5 key areas of improvement, which all our new emerging talent centres will embody." That's all we have for you this week. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel and check the description for our Twitter, Facebook and LinkedIn pages, and we'll see you next week for another news roundup.